Hello and welcome to this podcast, Flourishe, with Deepthi and me, Selva. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, a show that helps you not just restart confidently, but also thrive and flourish in your second careers.
If you are thinking of restarting your career but don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. In this season, we'll deep dive into the world of returnees by bringing you expert interviews, research findings, and HR perspectives. Being returnees ourselves, we will be sharing our experience of restarting, both failure and success stories.
That's right. If you are wondering how to build that awesome resume and even get insider tips from HR on getting hired, all that and more, we've got it all covered in this podcast.
So, are you ready? Because it's time for you to flourish.
Tune in to Flourishe, a one-of-a-kind podcast meant just for you returning to work.
I am Deepthi Rao, a techie by profession, mentor by passion, and a certified happiness coach.
I am Selvakani Selvaraj, women leadership coach from International Coaching Federation, certified psychologist and an erstwhile corporate HR expert. And we both are corporate professionals with over 40 years of collective experience. We know what it takes to build, pause, and rebuild a successful career, all the while being parents, caregivers, and family nurturers.
Of this season.
While our last episode would have geared you up sufficiently for the interview stage, we all know that the hiring manager round is a super critical one. Because if you win the heart of the manager in that round, you pretty much win the role. And therefore, a certain amount of nervousness is natural and very much understandable.
Because it's the deal maker round in the entire process, we have an expert with us today, Neelu Jethani. She will share some insights about cracking the manager round. Neelu is an engineer, software development and leadership experience under her belt. She has extensively worked in hardcore technology and has built high motivating and high performing teams during her tenure at Cisco.
Neelu is currently a senior manager at a well-known MNC in Bangalore. Even before all this diversity initiatives formally began in the Indian corporate scene, she's always been a champion of women at work. And as a leader, she has extensive experience in bringing diverse teams working together. It's a pleasure to have you with us today, Neelu.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Selva and Deepthi. I'm very excited to be doing this here today. This show is very much in line with my passion for improving the gender diversity in teams. And I would like to see a lot of back to women candidates get assimilated into our workforce.
That's right, Neelu thought. And so, listeners, fasten your seatbelt, sit up straight with all ears to hear some real candid stuff from the boss herself. So, Neelu, let's start with the resume. What does a manager look for in a resume of the returnee? What questions or concerns they might have when glancing at the resume?
While screening the resume of a returnee, I would check on the past experience of the candidate, the kind of work she's done in her previous organizations. Are her skills and experience a match with the position that I'm hiring? How has the candidate's career progression been? How has the professional growth been before the candidate took a break? Also, it's important for me to determine the likelihood of the candidate to stick around in my organization.
Aligned with the job that one is applying for. And perhaps that's possibly why the person was even considered or shortlisted for the interview at the first place with the hiring manager. Now that you've scanned the resume for some of these aspects, Neelu, and that this is a crucial make or a break round for the person as well as for the hiring manager, what are some of the key parameters that you'd consider for selecting the candidate?
Okay. I'll start with some parameters which are important for reviewing any candidate, right? Do the technical qualifications and experience of the candidate. Now, suppose in the technical round, whether it was conducted by my team members or by me, are the fundamentals of the candidate sound? For example, if the role is for a software programmer and the candidate was asked to write a piece of code during the interview, was the code cleanly written or was it buggy? Were all the corner case and negative scenarios considered? Consider the situation where the candidate is given a very challenging problem to solve and is not able to solve the problem right away. Maybe because she's a little rusty or a little nervous. Then we would look at the thought process while attempting to arrive at the solution. Is the candidate able to go in the right direction with the help of some clues, or is completely stranded and not able to make any progress? I would like to access if the candidate will align with the culture of the organization. Is she links with others? Will she be able to deliver with focus? I would try to assess these by posing some hypothetical scenarios and observing her behavior for each of the scenarios. And finally, do the expectations, aspirations of the candidate meet with what the company and the job has to offer?
Wow, bullseye, Neelu. Lot of details that you have explained, which will put the candidate in the right mindset before getting into the interview. And technical fit is an important aspect to figure out, the fitment of the candidate itself. But how far will you go in gauging her true potential to be a good fit for your team?
I would like to check if the returnee spent any time and effort in upskilling while she was trying to return back to work. By self-professional courses, did she do any projects which could have helped her obtain the skills needed for any job? The upskilling piece is an important one for me. If, say, after a gap of 4 years, the candidate is directly just come for the interview, I would still have some reservations about hiring her. But if I can see that she has spent some time in upskilling, in doing projects, publishing them on GitLab, then I know she's serious and passionate about returning back and would definitely be interested in considering her for the team. The potential has to be demonstrated by the candidate during this interview. Another aspect I would look for is the candidate willing and able to adapt to the ever changing technical landscape? Technology is developing at an extremely fast pace these days. Again, considering the example for a software engineering position, past experience might have been in a different technology. Would she be able to pick up new technology, new programming languages? Also, I would like to see if the candidate will be willing and able to go the extra mile if needed so that she can come at par with the other team members.
Yeah, that's a very good set of inputs around assessing the potential of the candidate based on what she has previously done in the break, also about her other pieces, attitudinal pieces. Very helpful to know, Neelu. Now, it's interesting because, right, leaders and their success, but in my erstwhile corporate HR experience, I've often observed that some candidates tend to come up with the very standard, if I may even say, rehearsed answers for questions around typically their strengths, weakness, why should we hire you, things like that, to the point where sometimes they may even sound a bit robotic in the way they respond to these standard questions. In your vast experience of hiring for your team as a hiring manager, how do you see this? Also, what are some of the stereotypical answers that you may have heard from avoided?
Right. So, yeah, I think the candidate should avoid being very generic and give very specific examples, right? For example, instead of saying, I am sincere, I will work very hard. This is a very cliched statement, right? Instead, if she can demonstrate it by showing how much hard work has been put in the application process, A statement like, I'm a team player, again, is very generic. It's a very common answer. Instead, describe specific scenarios of how she has collaborated with others to solve problem. The answer, like, I'm a perfectionist, while it may seem like a positive attribute, it might come out as insincere. Instead, focus on discussing specific skills and qualities that would make her fit for the job. Over, I would say that, sound genuine, sound sincere, sound passionate. Avoid very cliched answers, and demonstrate your potential.
That's right. Being candid and being genuine is important, right? That way you will be able to show your best self out. When you're trying to role play, be somebody who you are not, or trying to, super fit the answer, you will not come across as a natural. And that may not even be your natural style, right? Thanks for putting these points, Neelu. The other thing, right? Earlier you mentioned about the cultural fit, which brings me to a question which, generally we kind of try to hide it under the carpet. It's about age. It's normally not spoken, but as a hiring manager, does the age of the candidate
Ideally, age would not be a factor that influences a hiring decision. A seasoned leader would focus on evaluating the candidate based on their qualifications, skills, and ability to perform the job requirements effectively.
Thank you, Neelu. That's true. Thank you, Neelu. That's true. So it's as much or even more important for women returnee to really put their best selves, be authentic, and show all of their passion and potential in the interview, so much that the hiring manager can't even really think about the age anymore, even if it's theoretically, if we talk about it. I think your best performance really gets you the interview, not anything else. Thank you, Neelu. These are very valuable input and pointers for our returnees. Now, as we prepare to wind up this conversation and this episode, what would you tell as your top 3 to 4 things that seals the deal for a candidate in any interview with the hiring manager?
As we've discussed in our earlier conversations also, preparation, it's an important aspect in the overall job application process. Confidence is the key during an interview. Speak clearly about your skills and experience. Relevant experience, even if there is a gap, right? Past experience should be relevant to the job at hand. Good communication skills. Demonstrate good communication skills during the interview. Articulate your thoughts clearly, listen, attitude. Be enthusiastic about the job and the company. Convey passion for the job.
I can't agree more with you, Neelu. Very crisp, clear points. And like we've always been highlighting, preparation and confidence are quintessential during our entire journey. Sometimes a returnee might have hesitation when she compares herself with full-timers. What would be your advice to them? How can they get to be on par with the rest of the team?
The initial few months for the returnee could be a little challenging. She might have to put in extra effort to come up to par with the other team members. During this time, I would give her a lot of encouragement and direction. I would assign her I would also spend time in mentoring and guiding her. And once she feels that she's at a comfortable level, right, then this feeling should not be there. She will not feel much of a difference between her and the other team members.
That's so good to know, Neelu. That's so good to know, Neelu. It's also a good reminder for the hiring managers in general and for those who are listening to us right now, that if you are a manager, we urge you to offer a supportive environment for the returnee in your team to succeed. We encourage you to offer whatever that the can be looking for and make it a success for you as well as for the other person. and offer your time and attention more frequently in the first 90 days. Fun and insightful discussion that we had in our show, Neelu. Thank you so much again.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I enjoyed being on the show. You're doing a great job in creating such useful content. All the best to those who are returning to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Neelu. Thank you for answering our real tough questions. Like how they say in our interviewing parlance, right? Should I say, our HRD will get in touch with you shortly, and let's take this forward.
That was a good one, Deepthi. If the manager's interview is the finish line, then approach your manager round with conviction. Remember that the power lies within you. Prepare diligently, trust in your journey, and let your authenticity shine out in the interviews. Good luck, everyone.
Your feedback is our inspiration. Be generous with your ratings so that we are able to reach many more women who are looking for that inspiration to restart. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Flourish.
We hope you liked our podcast. All we do in this podcast is to have meaningful conversations, speak to experts, and bring you the real stories of returnship. Look up our show notes for research links and our social media connects.
Why just survive when you can thrive and flourish in your career?
Amen to that. Bye, folks. Until the